Right now, all eyes are on the Middle East, specifically Iran. The headlines are dominated by escalating tensions, diplomatic showdowns, and the constant threat of conflict. It's a compelling story, and the world is watching, captivated by the drama. But what if I told you that while we're all looking in one direction, something else, something with potentially far greater global impact, is happening just beneath the surface? What if the real story isn't just about geopolitics, but about the lifeblood of our modern world, oil? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at what the world's major powers are doing behind the scenes. While the media focuses on the immediate crisis, countries like the United States, China, India, and even nations in Europe are quietly making strategic moves. They're preparing for something they hope won't happen. But no, they must be ready for a massive oil shock. This isn't just speculation. The data and the actions of these governments tell a story of quiet, urgent preparation for a potential energy crisis that could dwarf what we saw in the 1970s. So, how are they doing it? Let's start with the most visible tool: strategic petroleum reserves, or think of these as giant, underground savings accounts filled with crude oil, meant to be used in a national emergency. The United States has the world's largest, and for decades, its primary purpose was to counter supply disruptions from the Middle East. Recently, we've seen some politically motivated releases to lower gas prices, but the underlying strategy remains. Policymakers are constantly evaluating the size and readiness of the SPR, ensuring it can be deployed quickly if a major supplier is taken offline. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just the US. China has been on a massive buying spree for years, building up its own strategic reserves at an incredible pace. Unlike the US, China is very secretive about the exact size of its stockpile. Analysts have to use satellite imagery of storage tanks and track tanker movements just to get an estimate. Why the secrecy? Because for China, energy security is national security. As the world's largest oil importer, any disruption hits them hardest. They are quietly building a buffer, a massive cushion to protect their economy from the very shock we're talking about. They're not just stockpiling crude, they're diversifying their sources, locking in long-term contracts with countries all over the world, from Russia to South America to Africa, trying to reduce their dependence on any single region. Then you have India, another rising economic giant with a voracious appetite for energy. Like China, India is heavily reliant on oil imports and is acutely aware of its vulnerability. They've also been building their own strategic reserves. Their current capacity is smaller, but they have ambitious plans to expand it significantly. Indian leaders know that a spike in oil prices could derail their country's economic growth, so they are taking proactive, albeit quiet, steps to prepare for that exact scenario. They are hedging their bets, just like the other major players. It's a global game of chess, and oil is the queen on the board. While the public watches the knights and bishops of military and diplomatic power, the real strategic positioning is happening around energy. This preparation goes far beyond just stockpiling oil. Governments are also accelerating their push towards alternative energy sources, not just for environmental reasons, but for strategic ones. Every solar panel installed, every wind turbine erected, and every electric vehicle sold is one less drop of foreign oil they need to depend on. The European Union, for example, has been incredibly aggressive with its green energy transition. This is often framed as a climate change initiative, and it is, but it's also a geopolitical strategy to achieve energy independence and insulate themselves from the volatility of global oil markets. They saw what happened when their reliance on Russian gas became a weapon, and they are determined not to let that happen with oil. Furthermore, major powers are re-evaluating and strengthening their alliances based on energy security. The United States is working to shore up relationships with producers in its own hemisphere, like Canada and Mexico. We're also seeing new energy partnerships forming, like the ITU-2 group, which brings together India, Israel, the UAE, and the US, partly to cooperate on energy and technology. These aren't just friendly handshakes. They are calculated moves to create a more resilient and diversified energy supply chain. They are building a network of trusted partners to call upon when, not if, a crisis hits. So what does this all mean for you and me? It means that the next time you see gas prices jump at the pump, it might not just be because of a distant conflict. It could be the first ripple from a much larger wave that governments have been preparing for all along. The quiet accumulation of oil reserves, the frantic diversification of suppliers, the accelerated push for green energy, and the formation of new energy alliances are all pieces of the same puzzle. They are the actions of world leaders who understand a fundamental truth. Control over energy is control over the economy, and in many ways, control over destiny. The story being sold to us is one of political tension with Iran, but the real, underlying narrative is one of a global scramble to prepare for an energy-scarce future. The possibility of a major disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, through which a fifth of the world's oil flows, is a constant nightmare for energy planners. A closure of that choke point, even for a few days, would send oil prices into the stratosphere and could trigger a global recession. And the world's most powerful nations are not sitting idly by waiting for it to happen. They are actively wargaming these scenarios and making massive multi-billion-dollar investments to soften the blow. The quiet, methodical preparation for an oil shock is the biggest story you're not hearing about. It's a testament to the fact that while politics and headlines are temporary, the fundamental need for energy is permanent. The next time you read a headline about Iran, remember the invisible chess game being played in the background. The world's major powers are bracing for impact, hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. It's a silent crisis in the making, and the preparations are happening in plain sight, if you just know where to look. Thank you so much for watching. It's a complex topic, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is the biggest energy threat we face today? And forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. We'll see you in the next one.